let's set up the About page. Here we can take two approaches. One would be to build the HTML statically in Next.js and then link the data from Content Island. The other is to fetch the data from Content Island, build an unstyled HTML, connect everything, and once it's all ready, add the styles. Both approaches are equally valid. It depends on your preferences and what you're more comfortable with. Maybe, if you're a developer, you'd prefer to make sure all the data loads first and then perhaps hand off the work to a designer so they can work their magic. We're going with the second option. We put on our developer hat and get to work. First of all, we're working with TypeScript. We're going to define the model we're bringing in for About. If we go to Content Island, in the Model tab, we can see that we have an About model with the following fields: picture, which is a photo of the user, full name, a mini bio, and an extended bio. Let's translate this into code. For that, we're going to create a file called api.model.ts inside the src folder. apmodel.ts is where we'll place all the models for our API. We'll start with an interface. For About, where all the content from Content Island has an ID. The picture field, since it's of type media, it will have a name and a link field. You can see this in the official documentation. Lastly, we're going to add the remaining three fields: full name, of type string, short bio, and an extended bio of type string. And now we're going to define an API to fetch the data. To do that, we'll create a file right next to it called api.ts. And what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to define an asynchronous function called getAbout, which will return a promise with the content it retrieves. So we import the model from the API model. Here we use the Content Island library, libclient, and we fetch the about data. To do that, we use the function about content, a wrapper around the client's get content, to which we need to pass the ID of our content, and we can filter the content type to match ours. In our case, we have defined the about model. If we go to the Content Island portal, in the Model tab, we can see the name of the model's content. And if we go to the Content tab, we can see the About content, and from there we can copy the ID. Or if we go into the details, we can copy it from this field. We copy it and paste it. The next step is to map the data provided by Content Island to our data model. This is because when we use these getContent methods, the content brings along a series of metadata, among which is the language of the content and other details, which we don't need in this application. So we're going to use Content Island's helper function API client. This function is called mapContent2Model, and we use it to return the about content mapped to the specific model we need. Now that we have it, let's go to the about page. We'll set up a very basic layout to check that the data is being displayed. Since we're using Next.js with the app router, we can mark the component as async and use await to wait for the data to load. By default, components run on the server, so there's no problem using asynchronous functions. Let's navigate to the About page and gradually modify the HTML to see the changes. We'll create a div container here to wrap all the components. And for example, we'll display an image with the About content, picture, link. And for the alt text, we can use the name of the About section, picture name, or if we want, we can also use the full name field. The image is showing up there, looks like it's working fine. We had an H2 with the full name. The name appears here. Looks like we got it hooked up. Great, now we add a short bio. Using the About Short bio field. Great, there it is. And finally another one with the extended bio. Great, there we have it. It's starting to look good, but one thing is missing, the extended bio field. This field is special because it's written in Markdown. Since we're generating it dynamically, we're going to install a library to process it. In this case, we're going to install the Market library, but you can use any other one. Now we're going to process the Markdown. We import the library we just installed. And here in the component, we add an extended bio field using this function about. In case this comes in as undefined, we're going to add a guard. And we use this constant right down here. The only thing is that we essentially have to use a div with the attribute dangerous set inner HTML, because what it will basically do is add this HTML directly into that div, ensuring that it is done safely and effectively. Because what this library does is transform a markdown text into HTML. Hey, it already looks better. Now we can add a bit of styling. To do that, we're going to create a file called page.module.css with styles that we can copy from the usual place. We're going to apply styles to the About section, the header, the intro, the image, etc. And we're going to modify the HTML. We import the classes. We add the class name here with the container, which is a global class, and on the other hand, the About class we just created. We delete this. If we keep saving, we can see that the styles for the About container are being applied. We're going to use a div here to wrap this entire first part of the header. We add the class name to the image, About image, and we add a class name to it, width of 100 and a height of 200 as well. We're removing this whole section and we're going to add one more div with the About intro. I'm missing the double dash here. Sorry about that. With an H1, I'm going to copy it directly here, the title with the author's name. Let's add the short bio here. Here it is. And finally, we're going to place outside of this div another div with the extended bio section. Remember that we're going to add it here. Inside this component, this div, the HTML provided by the market library. About extended bio. Wow, this looks good. And if, for example, we enlarge this a bit, it behaves responsively. Here it is. Great. Let's move on to the post list.